Good morning, Judge. Yes, I can hear you. I beg you to give me a chance to speak. My father was transferred to there, and I was not given the opportunity to deal with a lawyer.
Carol Barrios is a U.S. citizen who lives outside Miami, Florida. She was expecting her father to land at the Miami airport, but he never made it to her. And instead, she got a phone call a few days later that he was in an ICE detention facility.
Please, I beg you to allow me the right to due process and allow me the right to speak. As an American citizen, I myself has the right.
This was the start of what would be a very lengthy stay in ICE detention. And for Carol, it was the start of this journey of trying to figure out where her father was when he was being moved to the next facility.
What's happening now in the United States is beyond our control. Federal government has say-so over that, but we do have control here.
Towns like Estancia, New Mexico, small towns that a lot of people haven't even heard of, have become pretty focal to the administration's goal of carrying out this massive immigration crackdown.
The prison with a federal contract is the lifeblood for the town of Estancia. 2/3 of our gross receipts tax comes from the prison being open with the federal contract. It's a necessary evil. It is what it is. It's the system we have.
Then the deeper you get into it and you see what kind of crazy money is going into something like this, and you realize that, oh, this is also part of corporate America, you know, that they're making money too. They're just doing it with people.
It is really hard when you're trying to make sure that a town or a county doesn't become bankrupt. But ultimately, it benefits everyone when a county is not dependent on human suffering to survive.
This person said they were there for 32 days. They went out and saw the sun, probably only 13 hours in total.
The food is poor. They're not treated like a human. What everyone feels here is fear and more fear.
So one of the things we wanted to do was get a sense of what the conditions were like in some of these facilities. We wrote some prompts. What do you want the world to know about what it's like in ICE detention? And can you describe how you feel right now?
One of the letters we got back was from Jose. He says he was arrested on February 13th. This is the most difficult experience of his life.
He's like my dad.
Oye,
¿Cómo está, papi? Me and my dad connect a lot.
la comida de acá yo la combino con salsa de tomate, con ketchup, con mayonesa.
We have the same determination. Even if the whole world is against you, if you believe on something firmly, you work very hard to get there.
Jose was formally processed into the Chrome North Service Processing Center.
And then from there, he went to the Broward Transitional Center in Pompano Beach.
And transferred to the Torrance County Detention Facility.
In Estancia.
My dearest Lord, I offer you my praise and honor today. Lord, I also pray for those who are being held until the process of their deportation is complete. Amen.
I sat in on over 600 meetings throughout my career as clerk, kept their records, studied them, and I thought, I can do that someday. Estancia is my hometown. Lots and lots of friends, lots and lots of relatives. It's my village. Immigration, it's part of our country, but right now it seems like it's a bit more aggressive than it's ever been. What's going on right now with all the bad publicity in Torrance, it just kind of hurts me. And I know the people that work there are good people, I just don't like this stigma of Torrance County being in the spotlight as being a bad place because of the detention center.
I just landed in Albuquerque. My mind is so focused on my dad. I get a glimpse of the nature and the beauty outside, but this is not what they see there. This is not their reality.
In a quarter mile, turn right. Turn right, then turn right.
But I can't believe here.
You have arrived.
In 2017, CoreCivic, which is this behemoth in the private prison industry, told its investors that it was idling the Torrance County detention facility in response to a drop in the federal inmate population. But in 2019, Torrance County signed a deal with ICE that guaranteed CoreCivic revenue for 714 beds. And that allowed CoreCivic to reopen the detention facility.
Hey, we are, I hate my glasses, county courthouse. So this is town hall right here. During this whole fiasco with ICE and the prison closing and reopening, they're a great neighbor and they're a good asset and they help the town. But Estancia is not the prison. But the problem is Estancia doesn't exist without the prison. The whole history of Estancia, that was the whole town. And all this was just annexed in order to bring the prison into the municipality and bring the taxes into town. The prison with a federal contract is the lifeblood for the town of Estancia. 2/3 of our gross receipts tax comes from the prison being open with the federal contract.
There are kind of three main ways that these ICE detention facilities operate. ICE can own the facility and contract out the management and the security services to a private company. A private company can own the facility and ICE directly contracts with them to have bed space for people in ICE custody. And then there's this other way, which is also very popular, where a private company owns the facility and ICE doesn't have a direct contract with that company, but it has an agreement with the county in which the facility is located. And what that means is that these local governments across the United States have this growing important role in ICE detention, something that they wouldn't normally be involved with otherwise.
And I will admit, even to this day, me, Nathan Dial, not Mayor Dial, Nathan Dial, I don't believe in private prisons. All the things that government should be running, prisons are one of them. You know, I don't think the government needs to be in my bedroom, but the government needs to be in my prison.
Every several months, the Torrance County Commission votes on an extension of the ICE contract. In March 2025, all three commissioners voted to extend it. But one commissioner, Commissioner Jaramillo, said that she wanted to visit the facility because she had concerns about reports of poor conditions, and she wanted to see for herself before she voted again in October.
I did not see any of the things that I've been hearing about or what the advocates come to our meetings and say. I didn't see any of that. But that's not to say that these people who are saying that there's something going on in there, that they're lying. I'm not saying that. It's just what I saw.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, and community members. I'm Tiffany Wong with Innovation Law Lab. This is a translation of recording from a family member of someone recently detained at PCDF. Our lives were normal, but since he got there, one doesn't sleep here. I have depression that I can't stand. I had to start taking medication. I don't sleep. My son has depression that he can't stand, knowing that he's going through all of those abuses there. Where's the enforcement of human rights? Where? Who is the authority? Who is responsible? No one. No one takes responsibility. I've been in the detention center probably 20 times at this point. We hear stories from people all the time who are requesting the smallest things, like they're either not receiving all their documents that they need to pursue their cases, or there's a huge problem with interpretation. There are some times when it's very clear that an individual is not understanding their interpreter, but they're continuing with the case anyways. There are other times where people do ask for time to find an attorney and they're not given that. Individuals have deportation officers that should be able to answer their questions, at least specifically about their case. Unfortunately, ICE officers are not often in the Torrance County Detention Facility, and the men tell us all the time that while they have these tablets to be able to send messages, they almost never receive a response.
A lot of people in ICE detention at the Torrance County Detention Facility have never been to a facility like this before. They've never been to jail. They don't have a criminal history. So this is a really big shock to them.
The guards that the folks who are detained see on a day-to-day basis are staff of Core Civic. Those people are trained to run a prison, and so they don't know about the process of any immigration processes, really. So folks are really getting disappeared into that system and just lose access, so much access to the outside world and any information that goes along with it.
You know, my dad tells me there's a lot of suicidal thoughts that they have to find themselves busy, that they have to keep themselves busy. This was done by an Ecuadorian inmate who has since been deported. This is a wallet that somebody does from the Doritos and sell it for like a box of ramen or whatever.
There are several challenges with operating a detention facility like this in such a rural environment. One of the biggest that Core Civic has consistently struggled with is staffing. Government inspectors have repeatedly dinged the company for failing to maintain adequate staffing levels. One of the things we've heard is that the company pretty consistently flies in out-of-town workers to staff the facility because it's so hard to find people in the local economy who want to do the work and who can pass the ICE background check.
We started recruiting at the high schools because they didn't have a credit history to stop them. They were clean, generally in terms of a background. The job isn't about, brute strength. It's all about communicating with people, diffusing situations, but also being open to what their needs are. People that were just fresh out of high school, it's their first full-time job. A lot of people don't make it, it's not for them. So they would end up having to bring in people from outside, working at other facilities. You would see kind of an advertisement on the intranet page. New Mexico needs help. Do you want to go out there? There's a $1,500 bonus. But those people would be sharing hotel rooms. They would work 16-hour days, come back, do it again. Life working for them was constant pressure and constant everything. I did my best to, kind of disconnect from work. But the higher up you go, the more difficult that is to do. So some people drink, people, whatever, find religion, whatever they do to cope.
On May 29th, the immigration judge ordered Jose to be removed from the country. And not long after, he was transferred from the Torrance County Detention Facility to a facility in El Paso known as the El Paso Enhanced Hardened Facility. It was when Jose was at this facility that he decided that he didn't want to appeal the judge's order. Carol is able to get him transferred to Otero.
Just across the Texas-New Mexico border.
Mid-June, he's transferred back to the El Paso tent facility. And then he is flown from El Paso to Louisiana. He's booked into the Pine Prairie Ice Processing Center.
Right.
And he's there from mid-June to late June when he's deported to Honduras.
Ya pasó.
Lo intenté.
No, intentamos todo. No te sientas mal. Ya. Es imposible. Yo cada vez que hablo de esto, el sentimiento no poder, ya no poder. Ya, ¿sí?
Ya está en casa.
Ya estoy en casa. Ya estoy en casa. Ya estoy en casa.
Ya llegó.
Mi gorda. Dame. Ok. Vamos, deja eso. Deja eso. No, ya estoy bien. Sí, sí. Mira cómo estoy. Vamos.
Jose's case is not all that unusual. We've spoken to several people who were in ICE detention for months before they were deported. And it's not only financially and emotionally taxing on them and their families, but this is also really expensive to taxpayers. When Jose was in ICE detention, the agency was funded for a little over 41,000 beds. Under the current $45 billion allocated for ICE detention, that could expand to 100,000 beds or more.
Things are going to get overcrowded. It's going to be understaffed. And if you think their needs aren't being met now, there's no way. I just feel like it's deteriorating.
The county commissioners are strongly incentivized to keep the detention center around because of this manufactured dependence, because it is really hard when you're trying to keep a community afloat or trying to make sure that a town or a county doesn't become bankrupt. But ultimately, it benefits everyone when a county is not dependent on human suffering to survive.
Do you know how you're going to vote?
I'm probably going to vote for, because I think it's a work in progress, and I think we can fix this. We can't fix the fact that people are being taken from their homes, their families, and what's going on out there, but maybe we can fix what's going on in the facility, the isolated incidences that are going on.
Cárceles increíblemente malas, ¿no? Te afecta la mente tanto porque pensás que va a pasar algo, porque en las cárceles siempre pasa algo, y es algo malo, pero eso es siempre.
Sí, en esa situación cae toda la familia, ¿me entiendes? Una vez que nuestros seres queridos son detenidos por ICE, no hay ninguna información de ICE, no hay ninguna información del gobierno. Entonces, personalmente, yo decía al departamento de ICE que cuando tienes a una persona incomunicada, no es un arresto, no es una detención, es un secuestro.
Me siento protegido por ella, cobijado en este momento que... En este momento te abandono a todo el mundo. No tenés siempre la atención porque nadie sabe lo que tú vienes de vivir. Jamás había estado preso. Nunca en mi vida. Cuando miraba las películas, la gente amarrada y todo eso, pensaba el cine. Vengo de vivirlo en carne propia. Y sin ninguna duda que ha pasado factura en mi mente, en mi forma de actuar, en